Imagine a world so ancient that time itself feels young. No dinosaurs, no forests, not even a blade of grass, just a silent alien Earth. The air is thick, the sky a hazy orange, and the land is bare rock and dust. Volcanoes roar, building new land, while vast empty oceans stretch to every horizon. There are no animals, no plants, only a planet waiting for life's first spark. For millions of years, Earth spins through space, its surface shaped by wind, water, and fire. But beneath the silent seas, something stirs, the first microscopic life ready to change everything. These tiny pioneers are the ancestors of all living things. Their story is one of survival, slow change, and unimaginable patience. Before dinosaurs, before forests, before even fish, there was a world of bizarre, simple creatures. They were the first to conquer water, the first to brave the land. This is their story, the first chapter in the book of life on Earth. The stage is set, the actors are waiting, and the greatest drama in history is about to begin. From these humble beginnings, the journey of life will unfold. Welcome to the forgotten dawn of our world. Long before today's continents, Earth was dominated by a single supercontinent, Rodinia Panotea, vast, dry, and desolate. Its center was a barren desert, its edges battered by relentless storms. The air was thin, low in oxygen, and the sun's rays were harsh, with little ozone for protection. Nothing could survive long on the surface. The land was empty, waiting for life to take hold. But at the water's edge, tiny single-celled organisms, bacteria and algae, began to form slimy mats on damp rocks. These were the first signs of life on land, clinging to existence in a hostile world. Over millions of years, they broke down rock, created the first soil, and released oxygen into the air. Slowly, they transformed the planet, making it more hospitable. These microscopic pioneers were the original terraformers, paving the way for more complex life. The continents, once silent and barren, were being prepared for the next great leap. Life was patient, persistent, and unstoppable. The transformation was slow, but profound. The stage was set for plants and, eventually, animals to leave the sea. The lonely continents would not remain empty for long. Life's story begins in the ocean, not on land. For billions of years, the seas were home to tiny, single-celled ancestors of all living things. Then came the Cambrian explosion, a sudden burst of complex life. The oceans filled with strange creatures, trilobites crawling, Anomalocaris hunting, hallucigenia spiking its way along the seafloor. These were nature's first experiments. Shells, legs, eyes, and primitive backbones all appeared. The ocean became a laboratory for evolution, teeming with hunters and prey. Body plans that still exist today were forged in these ancient waters. The seas were now a complex, competitive world. But the greatest adventure was yet to come, the journey onto land. Life was about to take its boldest step. The stage was set for a new world to emerge. The land was a world of opportunity and danger. The first to make the leap weren't animals, but simple green algae adapting to life at the water's edge. Over generations, they evolved into the first land plants, mosses and liverworts hugging the damp ground. These plants began to turn the continents green, creating soil and pumping oxygen into the air. With plants established, a new food source beckoned animals from the sea. But moving on to land was a monumental challenge, breathing air, resisting gravity, and avoiding desiccation. The first animals ashore were likely accidental tourists, small invertebrates stranded by the tide. Those that survived gained access to new food and safety from aquatic predators. These pioneers were not fish, but invertebrates, creatures without backbones. They crawled onto the silent continents, beginning a new era. The land was no longer empty. Life was learning to conquer a new frontier. Each step was a triumph of adaptation. The migration to land changed Earth forever. The age of terrestrial life had begun. Before forests, the land was ruled by giants, but not trees. Towering fungi called prototaxites, some up to 8 meters tall, dotted the landscape. These strange pillars were the largest organisms of their time, rising above carpets of mossy plants. Scientists puzzled over their fossils, but their fungal nature became clear, dense networks of threads forming solid columns. Prototaxites absorbed nutrients from primitive soil, spreading spores on the wind. Their reign was brief but spectacular, a world of giant mushrooms, not trees. As plants evolved woody stems and roots, true forests began to rise. The slow-growing fungi were overshadowed and faded away. The kingdom of mushrooms ended, but their legacy remains a testament to evolution's surprises. The land was changing, becoming greener and more complex. The stage was set for new giants to emerge. Earth's landscapes would never be the same. As plants and fungi spread, they created new habitats and food for animals. The first land animals were arthropods, ancestors of insects, spiders, and scorpions. Their hard exoskeletons protected them from drying out and supported their bodies. Early millipede-like creatures fed on decaying plant matter, while scorpion-like predators hunted other arthropods. A simple food web formed, and the land buzzed with new life. High oxygen levels allowed some arthropods to grow enormous. Giant dragonflies with seagull-sized wings, and Arthropleura, a 2-meter millipede. The world was a paradise for bugs, filled with scuttling, crawling, and flying wonders. Arthropods diversified rapidly, filling every niche. They tilled the soil, pollinated plants, and became food for future land animals. Their arrival transformed the continents into bustling ecosystems. The silent world was now alive with movement. Arthropods paved the way for vertebrates to follow. The conquest of land was well underway. In the oceans, a revolution was unfolding. Early fish were jawless, armored, and limited to sucking up food from the sea floor. The evolution of jaws, modified gill arches with teeth, changed everything. Fish could now bite, hunt, and defend themselves, sparking an explosion of diversity. The Devonian seas teemed with new predators like Dunkleosteus, a 10-meter armored giant with bone-crushing jaws. Jaws drove the evolution of better senses, bigger brains, and faster swimming. Competition intensified, pushing some fish to explore the water's edge. The land, now green and full of insects, looked increasingly attractive and safer. The evolution of jaws set the stage for all vertebrates to come, including us. The pressure to survive and adapt was relentless. The next great leap was about to begin. Fish were ready to leave the water behind. The journey to land was inevitable. The move from water to land was slow, but unstoppable. Lobe-finned fishes with fleshy, sturdy fins were the pioneers. Tiktaalik, discovered in the Arctic, was a perfect link, part fish, part land animal. It had scales and gills, but also a flat head, eyes on top, and fins with the beginnings of wrists and fingers. Tiktaalik could prop itself up and breathe air, bridging two worlds. From such ancestors, the first true tetrapods evolved, creatures with 4 limbs and digits. Early tetrapods like Acanthostega and Ichthyostega still relied on water, but could pull themselves onto land. Their limbs were better for paddling than walking, and their skin dried out quickly. Yet they were the ancestors of all land vertebrates, reptiles, birds, mammals, and us. Every step we take echoes their first clumsy crawl. The future of life on land was in their hands and feet. The green continents were ready for new explorers. The age of amphibians had begun. Our first stop is the Carboniferous period, a time when Earth was one vast, swampy rainforest, stretching across continents and teeming with life forms unlike anything we see today. Giant ferns, club mosses, and horsetails soared over 100 feet tall, forming dense canopies that blocked sunlight from the forest floor. These ancient plants were the skyscrapers of their time, creating a world where shade-loving creatures thrived beneath their leafy umbrellas. The ground was a soggy carpet of decaying plants, and when these giants died, they piled up in the swamps. Layer upon layer of plant debris built up, creating a thick, spongy mat that covered the landscape. Without modern fungi and bacteria to break down wood, these layers built up for millions of years. The forest floor became a time capsule, preserving the remains of ancient plants in the wet, oxygen-poor mud. Pressure and heat eventually transformed them into coal, the same coal we use today. These ancient swamps became the world's first great fuel reserves, storing energy from the sun that had been captured by plants eons ago. This global forest pumped huge amounts of oxygen into the air, raising levels to about 35%, much higher than today. The air was thick and rich, making it easier for animals to breathe and fueling evolutionary experiments. The thick, oxygen-rich atmosphere had a wild effect on life, especially insects. Some dragonflies grew wingspans over 2 feet wide, and millipedes the size of crocodiles crawled through the undergrowth. Picture endless green, warm air buzzing with life, and a landscape dominated by strange towering plants. The forests echoed with the sounds of insects, amphibians, and the rustle of giant leaves. The ground was a future fuel factory, and the stage was set for new life forms to emerge. These swamps were not just the lungs of the planet, but also its energy banks, storing the building blocks for future ages. It was a paradise for insects and amphibians, and soon, the first reptiles would make their entrance. The Carboniferous was a time of innovation, as life began to explore new ways to survive on land. The Carboniferous was a world of experimentation and growth. Plants and animals alike were pushing boundaries, adapting to a world that was constantly changing. Everything was about to change, as new life forms and shifting climates prepared the planet for the next dramatic chapter in Earth's story. That super-rich oxygen didn't just help plants, it turned insects into giants, creating a world unlike anything we see today. The air was thick with life, and the forests echoed with the sounds of creatures far larger than any modern bug. Insects breathed through tiny tubes called spiracles, and with so much oxygen in the air they could grow to truly enormous sizes, far beyond what's possible now. Meet Meganura, a dragonfly with a wingspan over 2.5 feet, bigger than some birds today. It soared above the swamps, its huge shadow gliding over the water and ferns below. Its deep, powerful wing beats echoed through the ancient forests as it hunted other large insects, dominating the skies as a top predator of its time. On the ground, Arthropods, a millipede as long as a car, crawled through the leaf litter. This armored giant could reach lengths of 8 feet, making it the largest land invertebrate ever known. Imagine stumbling across an 8-foot-long armored millipede in the dim light. Its many legs rustled the ferns as it moved, a living tank among the undergrowth. Giant scorpions like Pulmonoscorpius, over 2 feet long, prowled the swamps armed with venomous stingers. These fearsome hunters were the terror of the wetlands, preying on anything they could overpower. The Carboniferous was the golden age of arthropods. Bugs ruled the air and ground. From the forest floor to the tree canopy, giant insects and their relatives were everywhere. The unique atmosphere let them reach sizes never seen again, creating a world where insects were the true giants of the land. It was a bug's world, and they were the undisputed giants, shaping the ecosystem in ways we can only imagine today. But the reign of insects wouldn't last forever. The world was on the brink of dramatic change. New challengers were about to appear. The world was changing, and the age of giant bugs was nearing its end. While giant insects dominated the land, amphibians thrived in the endless swamps. These ancient creatures, ancestors of frogs and salamanders, depended on water for their eggs and young. The swampy world was perfect for them. Amphibians grew large and diverse. Ariops, a 6-foot-long predator, lurked in the water, ambushing prey like a modern crocodile. Some amphibians were small and salamander-like. Others had snake-like bodies for slithering through vegetation. For millions of years, amphibians were the dominant vertebrates perfectly suited to the wet world. But their dependence on water was a limitation. They couldn't venture far from the swamps. As the world began to dry, a new kind of animal was ready to take over. The age of amphibians was glorious, but it was about to end. The stage was set for the rise of reptiles. Evolution was about to take a bold step onto dry land. Everything was about to change. The game changer was the amniotic egg, a tough, protective shell with a fluid-filled sac inside. For the first time, animals could lay eggs on dry land, free from water. The first reptiles, like Hylonomus, appeared during the Carboniferous, small and lizard-like, hunting insects on the forest floor. Fossils found in tree stumps suggest they used logs for shelter from larger predators. With shelled eggs and scaly, waterproof skin, reptiles could explore new habitats far from water. These adaptations made them the first truly terrestrial vertebrates. As the climate dried and swamps shrank, amphibians struggled, but reptiles thrived. The world was opening up for these pioneers. The age of amphibians faded, and the age of reptiles began. New creatures were ready to conquer the land. The next chapter in Earth's story was about to unfold. The world would never be the same. Enter the Permian period, a drier, cooler world where reptiles took center stage. The most impressive of all was Demetradon, a synapsid with a massive sail on its back. Demetradon was the apex predator, growing up to 15 feet long with a powerful skull and two types of teeth for tearing and shearing. Its sprawling posture resembled a crocodile, but it was no dinosaur. The sail likely helped regulate body temperature, soaking up sun to warm up or catching wind to cool down. Demetradon dominated its world millions of years before dinosaurs appeared. It was a symbol of reptilian success in the Permian. But its reign wouldn't last forever. A catastrophe was looming on the horizon. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Demetradon wasn't a dinosaur, it was a synapsid, a distant ancestor of mammals. Synapsids are our evolutionary branch, leading to all mammals, including humans. The key difference? Synapsids have one opening behind each eye socket in the skull, a trait we still share. Dinosaurs, in contrast, are diapsids, with two openings behind each eye, a feature shared by lizards, snakes, and birds. While Demetradon ruled the Permian, early dinosaur ancestors were small and obscure. The story of life isn't just about dinosaurs. Before them, synapsids like Demetradon were the dominant land animals. They conquered the land in a big way, thriving for tens of millions of years. But their era was about to end in disaster. The world was on the brink of its greatest crisis. The stage was set for a mass extinction. Everything was about to change. About 252 million years ago, the Permian period ended with the greatest extinction event in Earth's history, the Great Dying. Massive volcanic eruptions in Siberia unleashed lava and greenhouse gases, triggering runaway global warming. Oceans turned acidic and lost oxygen, while land became brutally hot and dry. The intricate web of life collapsed almost overnight. Around 96% of ocean species and over 70% of land vertebrates vanished. The mighty synapsids, including Demetradon's relatives, were decimated. The Permian world was left barren and empty. Life was pushed to the brink of extinction. But from this devastation, new survivors would emerge. The planet was ready for a new beginning. Picture all modern continents fused into one Pangaea. Surrounded by the vast Panthalassa Ocean, Pangaea's interior was a massive, scorching desert, hot, dry, and unforgiving. Rain was rare, and only the toughest plants and animals survived inland. In contrast, the coasts and the Tethys Sea enjoyed monsoons and lush forests. These coastal oases became hotspots for life's recovery and diversification. The climate's extremes forged tough, adaptable animals. Reptiles with water-retaining skin and efficient bodies thrived here. The challenges of Pangaea drove rapid evolution. This harsh supercontinent was the perfect training ground for future giants. Here, the next rulers of the planet were forged. In the Triassic, Archosaurs, ancestors of crocodiles and dinosaurs, rose to dominance. They diversified rapidly, filling niches left by extinct giants. Rauisuchians, bus-sized predators with pillar-like legs, became apex hunters. Postosuchus, a fearsome Rauisuchian, ruled the land with speed and power. Phytosaurs, crocodile lookalikes with nostrils near their eyes, dominated rivers. These were not true crocodiles, but convergent evolution at work. Armored etosaurs, pig-like herbivores, also thrived. Archosaurs controlled the food chain, holding all the power. Into this world of giants and predators, the first dinosaurs emerged, small, unassuming, and overshadowed. The competition was fierce, and the rulers were well entrenched. Dinosaurs were not yet kings, but the stage was set. The Triassic was a world of powerful archosaurs. The first dinosaurs would have to fight for every opportunity. Amidst the towering Triassic giants and a world teeming with strange reptiles, the first true dinosaurs quietly emerged, small, agile, and bipedal. These early pioneers were not the massive beasts we often imagine, but rather nimble creatures navigating a dangerous and ever-changing landscape. Forget T-Rex. These early dinosaurs like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus were no bigger than chickens. They darted through the undergrowth, relying on their speed and wits to survive, blending into the shadows of ancient forests. Their secret weapon was posture, legs positioned directly beneath their bodies, a revolutionary adaptation that allowed for efficient, sustained movement. This upright stance set them apart from their sprawling reptilian relatives. This bipedalism made them fast and nimble, able to chase prey or escape danger with remarkable agility. It was a game-changer in a world where speed often meant survival. They survived by hunting small prey, like insects, lizards, and other tiny animals. and by staying alert to avoid the jaws of larger predators. Their diet was as varied as their environment. Their small size was an asset, letting them slip into overlooked niches and hide from danger. They could exploit resources that larger animals ignored, giving them a unique advantage. Fossils from Argentina and Brazil reveal that these early dinosaurs were generalists. Some ate meat, others experimented with plants, adapting to whatever food was available in their harsh world. They weren't yet specialized or dominant, but their adaptability was their greatest strength. Like modern omnivores, they could shift their habits as conditions changed. Living in the shadows, they honed the traits, speed, intelligence, and resilience that would one day make them rulers of the prehistoric world. The seeds of their future greatness were sown in these humble beginnings as they quietly adapted and evolved, preparing for the opportunities that lay ahead. Their time was coming, but for now, they were survivors on the edge. Small, overlooked, but destined for greatness in the ages to come. Dinosaurs didn't instantly take over the world. For nearly 30 million years, they remained on the sidelines, overshadowed by other, more dominant creatures. Their rise was anything but guaranteed. The Triassic was an age of fierce competition, not one of dinosaur dominance. Countless species battled for every scrap of food and every drop of water, each struggling to carve out a place in a harsh, unpredictable world. Powerful archosaurs, ancient relatives of crocodiles and mammal-like synapsids, ruled the land, dominating the food chain and shaping the environment with their presence. At a Triassic watering hole, dinosaurs were the small, quick creatures darting around the edges, always alert, always cautious, trying to avoid the notice of larger predators. They survived by avoiding direct competition, hunting small prey, and feeding on plants others ignored. Their lives depended on being resourceful and opportunistic, making the most of whatever scraps they could find. Their strategy was to exploit ecological gaps left by larger animals, slipping into niches that others overlooked or abandoned. This underdog existence was crucial, an evolutionary boot camp that tested their limits and forced them to adapt in order to survive. Over millions of years, they refined their upright posture, developed more efficient breathing, and evolved the ability to grow rapidly, traits that would one day set them apart. Constant pressure from predators and changing climates made them adaptable and resilient, able to survive where others could not. They weren't kings yet, but they were quietly preparing for their reign, learning from every challenge and setback. The Triassic was their training ground, a crucible that forged the survivors who would one day rule the world. Quietly, almost invisibly, they evolved the tools they'd need to inherit the Earth, adapting in ways that would soon change history. Their long struggle would soon pay off, setting the stage for the age of dinosaurs that was about to begin. The Triassic food web was a perilous place. Rugged plants like ferns and conifers fed a variety of herbivores, dicynodonts with tusks and beaked rhynchosaurs. Armored etosaurs like reptilian armadillos dug for roots protected by heavy bone plates. Apex predators ruled phytosaurs in the water, Rauisuchians like Postosuchus on land. These hunters kept herbivore populations in check. Early dinosaurs like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus were mid-level predators. Too small for big prey, they hunted lizards, insects, and tiny mammals. Herbivorous dinosaurs ate low plants, staying out of the way of larger browsers. Dinosaurs weren't shaping the ecosystem yet, they were just trying to survive. The Triassic was a world of danger and opportunity. Dinosaurs were opportunists, finding their place on a crowded dinner plate. Not all early dinosaurs were small carnivores. Some, like Plateosaurus, were pioneering a new path. Soropotamorphs, ancestors of giants like Brontosaurus, started small but grew large by Triassic's end. Plateosaurus reached up to 30 feet, a breakthrough for dinosaurs. They had long necks for browsing high leaves but could walk on 2 or 4 legs. This flexibility gave them an edge in a competitive world. As they grew, Soropotamorphs began to compete with other large herbivores. Their unique feeding strategy, reaching higher than others, proved successful. This shift triggered an evolutionary arms race. As herbivores grew, so did their predators. The rise of Soropotamorphs set the stage for the Age of Giants. The dynamic between predator and prey would define the next 150 million years. Just as dinosaurs gained ground, disaster struck again. Around 201 million years ago, Massive volcanic eruptions split Pangaea, unleashing lava and toxic gases. The climate spiraled, rapid warming, acid rain, and ocean chaos. Many dominant groups, Rauisuchians, Phytosaurs, Etosaurs, Rhynchosaurs, vanished. Marine reptiles and ammonites suffered heavy losses. The extinction cleared the ecological slate, but dinosaurs survived, largely unscathed. Why? Their efficient breathing and rapid growth may have helped them adapt. Luck and superior adaptation gave them an edge. The extinction that ended their rivals' reign became the dinosaurs' greatest opportunity. The old rulers were gone, and a new era was about to begin. Dinosaurs were ready to seize the world. With their rivals gone, dinosaurs found an open world full of opportunity. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction reset the planet, leaving vacant niches everywhere. Dinosaurs, once underdogs, now exploded in diversity and size. Small carnivores evolved into Jurassic giants like Allosaurus. Humble Soropotamorphs became the colossal Brachiosaurus and Apatosaurus. New groups like Stegosaurs flourished. The Jurassic was truly the age of dinosaurs, no longer shadows but rulers. For 135 million years, they dominated every continent. Their forms ranged from feathered bird ancestors to horned ceratopsians. The Triassic was their prologue, a story of survival, adaptation, and luck. Their rise wasn't instant, but hard-won. When catastrophe cleared the way, they were ready. The dinosaurs stepped into the spotlight, beginning their legendary reign.